computer. So it's my pleasure to introduce a representative from our Small Business Administration. Patrick Rodriguez is a recent MBA from he recently got his MBA from UNC Chapel Hill, but he's worked with the SBA for a long time. He is their Senior Area Manager for the North Carolina District Office. We've had 2 conversations with him already, and we found him to be incredibly knowledgeable and helpful on this question of these SBA disaster loans. He's going to describe them to us and how they work, how you can apply for them, who is eligible to apply for them, and then we'll ask him some questions. So, Patrick, thank you for being with us today. We're very grateful.
Sure. So I just want to do a quick test. Can you hear me okay, Aaron?
I can hear you just fine, sir. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. So thank you for having me, and I appreciate everyone's time, and I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. So I'll just kick it off by saying, the economic injury disaster loan that we're all kind of focusing on today and right now is it's just one piece of the federal government's response to this situation, this crisis. So this is just one small piece with more information on other programs to follow. So I just want to make that clear. I'm going to put up my slide deck, and I'll just kind of share a few slides off of it. I really want to just talk from the heart first, and let everybody know that SBA is encouraging everybody to apply. All small business owners should consider themselves eligible, and we can go into some of the other criteria, but we're encouraging everybody to apply at this time for SBA disaster loans.
And businesses and nonprofits, correct, Patrick? Business and nonprofits. Yes,
businesses and for-profit businesses and nonprofit businesses are eligible.
Thank you.
So to get one of the, I guess, some of the misleading comments that I've heard recently is, there's going to be plenty of funding out there. Right now, I think there's a $50 billion with the B set aside for SBA disaster loans, and that's the first tranche. So there's plenty, and that was set aside a while ago in case of other natural disasters. So that was already preloaded and was easy to get out the door to small businesses. As of a few days ago, North Carolina is eligible. All businesses and all the counties within North Carolina are eligible for SBA disaster assistance. SBA is being very lenient when it comes to the credit review at this time. You do not need to be declined by a bank in order to go and file for an SBA disaster loan. So we're for all intents and purposes, kind of waiving the credit elsewhere test at this point. So it's not, you don't need to be declined to go to the SBA to get a disaster loan. You do need to have a physical presence within the state. And so a lot of folks can talk to the SBA disaster loan office about what that means, but we want you to have a physical presence, not a PO box. So if you're operating within North Carolina, you're fine. If you're operating in another, this is a nationwide crisis, but in case of like hurricanes and such, if you were in Virginia and had a PO box in North Carolina, you wouldn't be able to apply for that. But in this case, a physical presence is required, but I think that's going to cover almost every state in the union, so it's not that important at this point. So SBA loans are anywhere from a few thousand all the way up to $2 million, and under 25,000 they're unsecured. And so you're going to be looking at paying fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that you can't pay because of the disaster's impact. So you're going to look at your income, what it was a year ago, 2 years ago. You're going to look at that ACC tournament money that didn't come in because your restaurant was closed over March. And then you're going to look at that and say, okay, this is what my past revenue was. And these are my debts, and these are my payroll. These are my accounts payable. And then you're going to extrapolate that up to 6 to 9 months, or up to a year, up to $2 million. The interest rate's going to be 3.75% for 30 years. And that's for profits. For nonprofits, it's going to be 2.75% for nonprofits. So I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but right now we're encouraging everybody to go to sba.gov/disaster and apply for their SBA disaster loan. So there's also a 1-800 number there, and there's folks that are answering the phones, every minute, 24/7. So they're out there answering the phone on loan applications. And I tried this morning. It was a 20-minute wait. So you're going to be in the queue for a little bit if you have a question on your application, but you will get somebody to talk to. Processing. So what's the timeline? What are folks looking at? If I went today and applied for a disaster loan, how long is it going to take me to get that disaster loan money? So they're talking about an 8 to 21 day processing timeline. The more complicated businesses would be at the extreme, the simple, cash flow businesses at the shorter range, and then a 5-day delivery date for that check to be dispersed. So,
Patrick, can I pause you for just a second? Some of our guests are asking whether or not you're using the slides, and if so, could you bring one up to the front, or if you're just talking in general?
Yeah. I'm talking right now because I would rather have people listen to me versus read the slide. So I'm just gonna put this slide up there.
We'll share the slides. We can share the slides with folks. We'll post them in addition later.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Yeah. So in general, we're encouraging everybody to apply. Please, if you can refuse the money. So you get the SBA loan, you get accepted for, $200,000. You don't want to take it all. You don't have to take it all. You can refuse it. You can later on, if let's say you needed $400,000, you can go back to the SBA and say, "Oops, I needed more. I miscalculated." That's also an option. But the terms that we're offering and the ability to prepay without a penalty is going to be some of the lowest cost financing anyone's going to find around during these trying times. So like I said, we're really encouraging everybody to apply.
So let me repeat it back to you to make sure that I understand it correctly. Folks may borrow up to $25,000 unsecured. Between $25,000 and $2 million, it would be secured. What would they secure it with?
So they're looking at potential business assets, which could be used as collateral, or personal assets, which could be used as collateral. The government's going to look at those assets if you have them, and it will ask you to pledge them. But if you do not have collateral, then that is not a means of being denied. So just because some business owner does not have collateral will not kick them out of the loan application. They can still apply and also receive disaster assistance without collateral.
Many of our members have pledged their collateral already to an existing loan. So they could list it as collateral, but they can't pledge it as collateral. How should they proceed?
You can do that. Yeah. Well, if it's potential collateral, then you could list it. And at the disaster loan program is not like a normal commercial loan. So it's a very lenient program that has a lot of it leans toward the business owner versus the lender.
So I imagine after a Katrina or whatever that people were doing disaster loans and their property was gone, so there was nothing to pledge. So you all have good experience in lending with no collateral for businesses.
Right.
So up to 2 million, it's 3.75% interest. Unless you're a nonprofit, it's 2.75. I understand there's no payment for the first year. Is that correct?
I'll double check on that. I do not know that for a fact.
Payments, or that payments don't begin until the disaster is over.
Yes.
And that it's amortized over 30 years.
Yeah. So another point to remember is that the disaster declaration that came out a couple days ago started January 31st. So you can go back and look at your losses starting from January 31st. And then the disaster filing deadline as of today is December 18th, 2020. So that's that year period you're talking about.
And what I also understand is that cash flow is really what you are lending on. So it is for businesses say, I used to have $100,000 a month. I now have $20,000 a month in revenue. So I have an $80,000 a month problem to keep my staff and do whatever. And I want 9 months, so I want to borrow X dollars. That's how the calculation is. Not about restructuring debt. It's about continuing what it would take to continue to operate. Is that accurate?
Right. You're looking at paying your fixed debts, your payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that you wouldn't be able to pay because of the disaster's impact. So that's not going to necessarily replace all of your sales per se, but it's going to take a lot of the burden of your bills and your payroll off the balance sheet for you, for small businesses. And you're right. It's not used for expansion, and it's not used for refinance of existing debt.
You and I, when we spoke last, we talked about sole proprietors, individual realtors, but any LLC, any sole proprietor also are eligible. And while you're not going to replace if somebody was making $300,000 as a, I don't know, as a sole proprietor, and now, but they're not, describe how you described to me, it's not a salary replacement necessarily. How should a sole proprietor use this, or an individual realtor?
Right. Well, sure. I mean, if they're taking a payroll, if they're being paid out of their company's salary or draw, they can use that as a pre-existing debt, and that'll be eligible for disaster loan. So you got to pay yourself if you're an employee or someone who's in the business as a matter of payroll, or your employees as a matter of payroll.
And we're using the terms disaster loan and disaster claim to be the same thing. Do you mean these are loans that we are talking about? There was a question about making claims that may be related to an insurance product, but we today are talking about disaster loans, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And just for those folks that have existing SBA loans, there's a disaster loan does not count against your SBA loan cap. So there is a cap for normal SBA lending of $5 million, 3.75 guaranteed cap per person. And so if you had a maxed out SBA loan and you needed an SBA disaster loan, you could still apply. That wouldn't work against your capital.
All right, we've got a couple of hands. I'm nervous about this process. I want to try it. There's a hand up with Christina. I've unmuted you. Hold on one second. I can put her hand down. I think I can unmute you.
Eric,
Also,
if I may, I have been tracking questions that have been coming in. So if at any point you would like for me to tee up some of the common themes of questions I'm seeing, I'm happy to do that.
That is a brilliant suggestion. Let me call on Christina, and then I'll have you, Katie, ask some others. Go ahead, Christina. If not, let me try Barbara. You had your hand up also.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Yes.
Yes, you're good.
The question I had is so we run a bricks and mortar thrift shop. We anticipate not being able to, let's say the governor decides to close us all down, don't anticipate being open on the retail side for some time, but want to enhance and build out our e-commerce. Would the SBA disaster loan funds be permissible to be used for that?
If it's for an expansion, no, it would not be. No, no.
Katie-
But that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? So we're talking about keeping your business floating while this crisis kind of works its way through the system and through itself. So if you're looking for an expansion type of funding, there's going to be other vehicles out there.
Hold tight, everybody.
that
Patrick, will you rewind yourself maybe 30 seconds on that answer?
Through the Express loan and other types of vehicles that could be used for that.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Katie, will you give us some of the themes that you've been reading through the questions that are being typed in?
Yeah, I'm going to, in good faith, everybody, there's been a lot of really good questions in the chat feature, and I thank you for it. One of the common questions I'm hearing has to do with eligibility. So are startups eligible? How long do you have to be in business to apply for one of these SBA loans? I'm also hearing questions about realtors and independent contractors or different types of businesses. Who is eligible? And then a third part to that eligibility question would be businesses that have multiple locations. How do they navigate to how to apply? Which business or where do they register?
So if you're looking, so repeat the question one more time so I make sure I understand it.
Sure, it's about eligibility. So are startups eligible? What about realtors and people who are a one-person business? And then what about a business, a company that has multiple locations or maybe multiple businesses registered under an umbrella? How do they navigate SBA loans?
Yeah, so I'll take the last one first. Yeah, so if you have affiliations, you'll list that in your disaster loan application. And it's just going to basically, make the application, make the SBA aware of your affiliation. So if shell company X owns shell, operating company Y, yeah, those will all be eligible. But we're just trying to make sure they're not double dipping or anything like that. So you'll be filing under an exact corporate legal entity, and if that entity has distress, then you can apply for SBA disaster loan. And if company Z is also under distress, you'll apply under that company as well. So you'll file per company.
And how about
Per
startups
legal.
and LLC, sole proprietorships, and realtors?
Yeah, so startups, I mean, you're gonna have to say that there's some economic loss based on previous cash flow. So that may be a little bit difficult to prove if you have zero pre-existing cash flow. So that's gonna be a little bit hard, but I would kind of maybe follow up with that at a later time and maybe get some more information on that. And then single, like realtors and folks like that are out there, it's not going to replace particularly your sales revenue, but it will come back and help you pay for any existing debts of your operation. So you're a tenant in a complex, you need to pay rent, you need to pay salary, you need to keep the lights on, you need to pay your insurance, internet. It's going to cover all those expenses, but it's not going to cover, I was expecting $1 million sale next month. It's not going to cover that.
Katie, what other themes came up in the questions?
Another theme had to do with securing the loan and determining damages. So how does the SBA determine damages? Can you say a bit more about that? And then also, what should people be thinking about if they need to do a secured loan?
Got it. So yeah, I would, so in the term of SBA, disaster assistance, damages kind of refer to physical damages. So in the application, you're going to want to select economic injury in the SBA loan application, and damages would be more physical, hurricane, earthquake kind of thing. So I'm assuming you're talking economic injury damages. And so you're going to go back and you're going to look at your cash flow from previous months, previous years, and say, these are the outstanding debts I had, outstanding, accounts payable, outstanding bills that I'm not going to be able to pay. And then you're going to forecast basically 6, 9, 12 months into the future and say, this is what I'm going to need going forward for the next 12 months. And then that's going to be the magical number that you're going to kind of put forward as a loan amount. And you can go back, you can refuse it, you can go back and add to it. It'll be flexible.
Katie, how about one more question from you? And then I have a hand raised in the audience from Barbara, from another Barbara.
Okay. And Aaron, as far as time check, we've got about 5 more minutes with Patrick, and then we're supposed to switch gears.
Okay.
So the other part of the question I was hearing had to do with securing the loan. Can you say a bit more about what assets to secure the loan?
It's going to look at business assets. It's going to look at personal assets as far as collateral. But like I said, lack of collateral will not be a reason for denial. So this is a cash flow type loan that you're taking for all intents and purposes. So it's not going to be based on a typical bank formula of, I need $100,000 loan, and bank under normal circumstances says, well, I want $100,000 worth of collateral. So it's not going to work like that. It's a totally different program, and it's not meant as a collateral-based lender. We're not a collateral-based lender where this is going to be more cash flow, emergency funding.
So some of you have experience with the SBA in the past. You did the 7A, you did some others. This is very different. This should be much faster. One of our businesses, Jamie at downtown, the coffee shop, was saying that it took him 25 minutes from start to finish to complete his application. He had his documents with him and in front of him, but his business is Epilogue, and he says it did not take a long time, and he did find it a much easier process to do. Patrick, you had also said how important it is to get going now on this. Something about first come, first served.
Yes, I mean, I would urge folks to get started sooner rather than later, accumulating some of your financial statements, your tax returns, and even printing off some of the forms that I have listed up here so you can pre-fill them in. And then as you're working online, you can just transfer the information from the paper over to the digital to have it ready to go. So the number one reason for denial is lack of answering the questions. So try to answer the questions as fully and completely as you can. And if, for instance, you forgot a box and a couple of days later, SBA loan officer emails you saying, we need an answer for box 22, you have 7 days to reply. And if you don't reply in 7 days, then that loan will be withdrawn. So you want to make sure you're looking at your spam folders during this time and you're entering your emails and making sure that line of communication is open. And you can always call or you can email. And the applications are also available in Spanish if anyone needs them in Spanish.
Aaron, if I may, one feedback we're getting from several people, Patrick, is just that they're on the website and it's really slow. And so we want to make sure you're aware of that and talking to your colleagues in DC, there's probably going to need to be significantly more bandwidth.
Yeah, I think they're addressing that already.
Barbara J., you had a question earlier. Did it get answered, or you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? And then...
No, it did. It did. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So what we're hearing also, yes, so someone just said if the 25-minute version of this was with the website working exactly like it was supposed to, quickly going through. This is through the SBA directly. This is not through your bank. You may also begin a process with your bank if you wished to talk about SBA-backed lending, and it's not a bad idea to begin that process either.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, I would definitely put this in the queue first, you know, have this out the door first. And then I think I would follow up with, you know, because there's going to be other programs, like you mentioned. There's the bridge loans, like through the county, and there's going to be probably bridge loans through the state and through the rural center and through some other CDFIs that are coming out. So I would definitely put this at the first line item, and then second would be bridge loans, access to capital for expansion, et cetera, other type of needs you may have going forward.
Would you, for the purpose of this recording, just slowly flip through the rest of your slides? That'll enable them to be on the recording so that somebody could pause and read them.
Sure.
While you are doing that, I'm reminded there is a place where many people get tripped up. It'll ask you this business information about you, and then it asks for your full name. And it doesn't mean your full name. It means your business's full name, even though it seems that it's asking you for your full name. Are there any other tips like that you have? It's a little bit of a clunky application, you said.
Yeah, that's correct. Like, so on Form 5, page 1, when it asks for your full legal name, that's referring to your business name. So whatever you have on file with the Secretary of State, or what, you know, that's going to be what you put down. You're not going to put, you know, John Smith there. You're going to put your business name.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just make sure if you have co-owners. So if you have any co-owners, you don't own the business 100%. You have to make sure that that number at the end equals 100%. So you have a 2% owner, you got to put them into, it doesn't matter, they got to be listed. It's got to equal 100% at the end of the application. You have to have all the owners listed.
I'm gonna, Chris, with Triangle Acupuncture, do you have a very quick question?
Aaron, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about, so we're a service industry, and so we were thinking about firing people so they could collect unemployment. But with such a low amount for people, do you have any information as far as the 12-week PTO through the stimulus package that just happened? Because using an SBA loan, I could keep people employed to be able to cover the 12 weeks for them to actually have their salary. But I just, that information is very unclear.
Excellent. I don't have a good answer for that right now. I'll follow back up, but what he's referencing is this: there may be a requirement for paid time off for folks, but that may be in case they are ill, not taking time like this. So I'll follow back up with you on that. Sorry, I don't have a good answer.
Thank you.
Wes, do you have a quick question? Wes Garrison?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So it was really just about the application process. So I'm sure that his application last night went well because the site was super speedy. But right now I've got all my documents together because we did an SBA loan back in July, and it just takes a really, really long time. But it is working, and they do say on the site, hey, we're having extremely high call volume, extremely high website volume. We're working on it. So I'm able to go through. It's just taking a long time, and I've not had any crashes or anything like that.
That's helpful. Katie, you get the last question, and then we're going to hear from some of our partners. Katie Walker.
Quick question on the application site itself. I had a client who, and I'm sure a lot of small business owners are in the same position, they co-own the business with their spouse. So putting in joint assets is kind of clunky on the site, and figuring out how to make it look like a joint financial statement and not duplicating debts and assets. Any hints there?
Great question.
Yeah, so for those like kind of in depth, I would refer them to the 1-800 number, and then just to give them a call directly, and then you'll speak with the loan officer in the Office of Disaster Assistance. So I would refer them to the 1-800-659-2955. So 1-800-659-2955, and that's the customer service center at the Office of Disaster Assistance. They can also email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov.
Thank you, Patrick, for taking time with us today and again yesterday with our economic development professionals. We have a local resource. It's the Small Business Technology Development Center, SBTDC. You can Google North Carolina SBTDC or Small Business Technology Development Center. The office that serves our region is located here in Chapel Hill, serving a multi-state region, and they have full-time staff. Their job is to help you with things like this, to get the application done, and can talk you through it, can do a Zoom meeting with you. Is their director, is he online with us? There are a bunch of you here. If he is, he can unmute himself, introduce himself. If not, let me invite if any of the economic development partners now would like to bring welcome or to introduce themselves or make any announcements that the members on the phone ought to know about. Just simply, I think the easiest way would be for you to unmute and say hello.
I'll go ahead and jump in. Alyssa Bird with Chatham County Economic Development. Just want to reemphasize everything that Aaron started off with is we work for you, we're here for you. Communicate what you need, and we're going to continue to communicate what we know out to you. And I just encourage, we've been on the phone all week with businesses trying to see where they are, and I encourage you, plan for every scenario, even the worst one. But this has been super helpful. Patrick, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Aaron, it's Cindy.
Hey, Cindy, with the Chatham Chamber.
Hi, this is Cindy Poindexter. Thank you all for joining us today. I'll have to ditto what Aaron and Alyssa said. We are here for you. You are our priority, so please reach out to us with your needs, questions, concerns. Best of luck.
Thank you, Cindy. Matt, Chapel Downtown Partnership. I just want to make sure I introduce you.
Hey guys, Aaron, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for organizing this. Again, for any of my businesses that are out there, hopefully you've been getting all my emails. Thank you for all you do for downtown. We're here for you.
How about from the town of Carrboro? Annette, are you with us? Or Mayor Lavelle?
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to say I'm on the line. I've been on meetings all week, listening to everyone. We're trying to do what we can to support everyone, and we love you all.
Thank you. Mayor Heminger is with us as well from the town of Chapel Hill.
Same here. We just, our hearts go out to all of you. We appreciate everything that everyone's doing. We're all trying to work together on this. We are going to get through this. We're going to come back stronger. But these are uncertain times right now, and everything is evolving quickly, and applaud the chamber and everyone who's willing to pull people together to work together. Please reach out if you need something. We're trying to do the best we can. We're learning from national organizations, from the state organizations on how to help everybody. But again, it's changing hourly. It's been quite a journey, but we're here and we're going to continue to be here.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. How about from our friends in Orange County? I know we have some elected officials and our economic development professionals. Steve or Amanda? I will come back to them. How about Hillsborough Chamber? Hold on, it could be that I am blocking some muting capacities. I don't think so. How
Hey,
about
Aaron?
Yes.
This is Amanda with Orange County Economic Development.
Yes,
Sorry about that. Yeah, so echoing everything that everyone else has said, and just a quick update, there will be a Board of Commissioner meeting on Tuesday night to discuss the strategy from the county involving a potential loan fund and grant funding. So stay tuned. That information will be pushed out as soon as we can after that meeting's held.
Thank you, Amanda. From the town of Hillsborough or the Hillsborough Chamber?
Hey, it's Shannon Campbell here, Town of Hillsborough Economic Development and Tourism. Thank you so much for doing this. Hopefully it was helpful for our business owners. If any of you need help or have additional questions after this, please reach out. Kim Tesoro, who's the CEO of the Chamber, as well as myself, are also small business owners. So we're both looking at this both from an economic development and a small business owner perspective. And I think she and I both maybe logged onto this SBA website over the weekend and trying to navigate this process ourselves. So I think that will make us a very helpful resource. So thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Lori Palicelli from the Orange County Visitors Bureau. I know that Lori is working with our hotels. Y'all, we are at 5% and 10% occupancy in our hotels, and that is creating a huge hardship for those organizations and their employees. Maybe that our hospitals will need these hotels for both their employees as they try to keep their employees safe and local, and that could have some positive impact. But as it is, I would expect more hotel closings coming forward. Laura, do you have any announcements to make? She was with us earlier. Any other partners, economic development or business support partners that are on the line that would like to say hello or bring welcome? Mayor,
hi.
Go ahead.
This is Amanda Hodges. I'm representing the Castle County Chamber of Commerce, and I appreciate you all allowing me to sit in. We're just a tiny little, very much a rural part-time chamber, but happy to be a part of this and to get this information. So thank you.
We're glad to have our friends from Castle County here. Happy birthday, Mayor Heminger. Heck of a way to celebrate a birthday, but we're glad that you're spending it here with us. I guess sort of final comments that we wanted to offer to honor the time that we have with you, to end it on time, is again to encourage you not to suffer alone. This is going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. And you've got to reach out to each other as peers, seek information, share information, share the tips and secrets with each other. Reach out to the organizations that you've hired to help you, like your Chamber of Commerce, and the ones that you pay through your taxes, your local governments. And if we can make this path easier for you, we will. With respect to your employees, we appreciate how much you care for them and that you're trying to do right and the best you can for them. But know that your organization will not be left to rehire them unless you take good care of it as well. And so care for your business as well as your employees. And we appreciate the compassion that you all are showing for all of them. The final request I have is regarding your health and those around you. First, your health. We need you guys to take care of yourselves. You are leaders in our community. There are people, your families and your employees and your businesses that rely on you. So be healthy and smart, sleep, eat vegetables, exercise outside, away from others. But this is a marathon. And we got off to a sprinting start, but we've got to get a good pace going in order to continue through this process. Katie?
Aaron, just an update for the good of the order. I have saved the chat thread. And so what we're going to do as a chamber is try and answer as many of these questions that have gone unanswered through our Google document, which you can access at carolinachamber.org/COVID-19. We will also share this recording on that same webpage and through our social media, and I'm sure our partners will as well. There's a lot of great resources out there for you from a lot of different organizations. We're just one of many. But again, carolinachamber.org/COVID-19. You'll be able to continue to find more answers to these questions you shared on chat.
Thank you. We've double checked those links and they're now working properly. There's an expression, right, that it all works out at the end or in the end. And if it's not working out, you're just not at the end yet. So we're not there yet, but we're going to work together with all of you to help us make it through as best we're able. we're all going to make it through as best we're able. Thank you all for your leadership and your participation in this. Again, reach out, as everybody has been encouraging you. Seek resources and communicate with each other. You honor us with your participation today. We thank you for all the hard work that you guys do all the time, and continue to work hard for our community. We're grateful. We hope that you all have a good rest of your day and a good weekend of some recharge, if you can get any, please. Thank you, Patrick, for your time with us today. You made this process so much easier than if we were all just hunting at this alone. So we're going to go ahead, Patrick. Any final comments?
No, I said glad to be a part, and just no, this is just one piece of the puzzle for the federal government.
Things will change quickly. We'll try to keep you up to date. I'm going to leave this channel open for just a minute. We'll continue to leave it open if you have additional questions or you want to cut and paste from something you saw in that chat section. So I won't close it right now. So you can go grab those if you want. Some of you are seeing some of your friends and peers for the first time in a while here. So you can directly communicate with them also if you wish. Be well. This will formally conclude our program today. Thanks, everybody.
Makes a funny noise as people unmute themselves and leave.
Funny. Aaron, if you can hear me, just so you know, don't shut out yet, because I'm waiting for the final comments to come in on chat, and then I'm going to save that as the final version. I had saved an earlier version, but I want to.
I am as well, Aaron. So just collecting a few more things.
You can probably stop the recording though.
Thank you for doing all of this. Sorry I didn't put a picture on, but I've been working in the yard and ran inside. You didn't want to see it.